At this time, I highly recommend you press stop on this video and go watch the previous video on eicosanoids key to hormonal balance. This video on eicosanoids will help you build a strong foundation to then make the connections brought forward in this video covering the book Eat Right for Your Type. Welcome everyone. In today's video, we will take a look at Eat Right for Your Type by Dr. Pito Adamo. This book came out in the mid-1990s, similar to the two previous books we read. I ignored this book when it first came out, and I can remember why, because in the back of my head I was saying, oh no, not another diet fad book. When I recently picked up the book and began reading it, I was pleasantly surprised. In fact, so many ahas went off in my brain. I spent the whole day reading this book. One of the ahas was just around how within our body, this biological system, we have a gut brain, a heart brain, and a head brain. These three brains are meant to be in harmony and working together. What happens though is when the gut brain gets out of balance, then also our heart and our head brains are out of imbalance. When our gut brain is out of balance, it sends off all these signals to our head brain through the amygdala that we need to be in a fight-flight reaction. Not thinking, just reaction. So it completely bypasses our heart, and we start acting like robots towards each other. In other words, no conscience. And I know for me, this helps me to understand, for instance, in the news where you see just these stories, whether it's a school shooting or whatever, it makes me think it's like, wow, I think this is all playing into what we're seeing in today's society now, and all the turmoil. We're being divided within. With our gut flora being out of balance, we're not in balance with our heart and our head brains. And this leads not only to a division within ourselves in the microcosm, but then the division is outpictured in the macrocosm in the world. The first author that I read that talked about the importance of gut health was Dr. Bernard Jensen in his book, You Can Master Disease. I don't think that's in print anymore. I know the copy I have is from the early 1900s, but that book had a powerful impact on me, especially in chapter 4, where it talks about all abnormal conditions in the bowels cause disease, premature aging, and death. And all the science is coming together around that, whether it's from autism to dementia. So how do we begin bringing all these together? And the answers are in these books that we have been reading, whether it's Wheat Belly, Enter the Zone, and now Eat Right for Your Type. All of these are bringing information that helps us to no longer be in that imbalanced biological system. It's been a wonderful journey, and I'm excited to jump in and share more on this book. Besides today, I do plan on putting together a video on each blood type as to what foods and beverages are compatible for each blood type. And there is also going to be a surprise about gut flora that few people consider when taking probiotics. Each blood type has a different type of gut flora. This means that you need different forms of probiotics depending upon your blood type. Let's change gears and go to the book, Eat Right for Your Type. We will begin within the second chapter, the blood code, the blueprint of blood type. On the bottom of page 29, the section is titled Enter the Blood Type. Nature has endowed our immune system with very sophisticated methods to determine if a substance in the body is foreign or not. One method involves chemical markers called antigens, which are found on the cells of our bodies. Every life form, from the simplest virus to humans themselves, have unique antigens that form a part of its chemical fingerprint. One of the most powerful antigens in the human body is the one that determines your blood type. The different blood type antigens are so sensitive that when they are operating effectively, they are the immune system's greatest security system. When your immune system sizes up a suspicious character that is a foreign antigen, one of the first things it looks for is your blood type antigen to tell it whether the intruder is friend or foe. Each blood type possesses a different antigen with its own special chemical structure. Your blood type is named for the blood type antigen you possess on your red blood cells. We'll go to the next section, which is antigens create antibodies. When your immune system senses that a foreign antigen has entered the system, the first thing it does is create antibodies to that antigen. These antibodies, specialized chemicals manufactured by the cells of the immune system, are designed to attach to and tag the foreign antigen for destruction. The system of blood type antigens and antibodies has other ramifications besides detecting microbial or other invaders. More than 100 years ago, Karl Landsteiner, a brilliant Austrian physician and scientist, also found that blood types produced antibodies to other blood types. His revolutionary discovery explained why some people could exchange blood while others could not. If a person goes into the hospital and they were to make a mistake and give the person a blood type transfusion that was not compatible with their blood type, that would cause the process of agglutination. In other words, the clumping of the blood. And this would lead to shock in the person and possibly even death. But there is much more to the agglutination story. It was also found that many foods agglutinate the cells of certain blood types in a way similar to rejection, but not others. Meaning a food that may be harmful to the cells of one type may be beneficial to the cells of another. It's not surprising that many of the antigens in these foods have A-like or B-like characteristics. This discovery provided an entirely different scientific link between blood type and diet. Remarkably, however, its revolutionary implications would lie dormant, gathering dust for most of the 20th century, until a handful of scientists, doctors, and nutritionists began to explore the connection. And I would actually say that that is not coincidence that it lied dormant. In fact, this book came out. It hasn't really taken off. I think there's several reasons. One reason is just the human mind is always looking for the new fad or the new thing. And also, I think there's an agenda with it, like, for instance, the pharmaceutical companies. If individuals begin putting all this information together and becoming healthy all the time, there's no profit in that. And I think we all can understand that the current system that we live in, the pharmaceutical system and medical industry, is all based upon profit nowadays, not truly healing the person and maintaining health throughout one's life. Next section is lectins, the diet connection. A chemical reaction occurs between your blood and the foods you eat. This reaction is part of your genetic inheritance. It is amazing but true that today in the 21st century, your immune and digestive systems still maintain a memory, a certain favoritism, for foods that your blood type ancestors ate and adapted to. We know this because of a factor called lectins, from the Latin I choose. Lectins are abundant and diverse proteins found in foods that have agglutinating properties affecting your blood and tissues. Lectins are a powerful way for organisms in nature to attach themselves to other organisms in nature. Lots of germs, and even our own immune systems, use this superglue to their benefit. For example, Cells in our liver's bile ducts have lectins on their surfaces to help them snatch up bacteria and parasites. Bacteria and other microbes have lectins on their surfaces as well, which work rather like suction cups, so that they can attach to the slippery mucosal linings of the body. Often the lectins used by viruses or bacteria can be blood type specific, making them a stickier pest for people of that blood type. This is huge. This means that depending on your blood type, you can be more susceptible or less susceptible to certain viruses and bacteria. And most likely that plays into, if you've ever noticed, like in my family, how 2 or 3 of the 4 people will get sick, but the other members don't. And this is one of the factors that plays into that. I'm going to read that again. Often the lectins used by viruses or bacteria can be blood type specific, making them a stickier pest for people of that blood type. So too with lectins in food. Simply put, when you eat a food containing protein lectins that are incompatible with your blood type antigen, the lectins can attach to the walls of the digestive tract, initiate inflammation, and even penetrate the gut lining and escape into circulation. I mean, this right here is huge, and it plays into so much. Let's take this one step further. What's the connection between blood type antigens and eicosanoids? First, we need to understand that a healthy gut leads to the production of healthy eicosanoids. In the mucoid lining of the small intestine, you have biochemical factories producing the building blocks, in other words, the amino acids, that are then converted into super hormones, which are the eicosanoids. If your body's constantly under attack because of the antigens through incorrect diet, products such as ibuprofen, and other poisons, for instance, Monsanto's wheat, all of that is creating a reaction within everyone. And it's creating inflammation, it's destroying not only the gut flora, but also it's destroying the gut lining. And when this happens, then the eicosanoids are not being produced right because the amino acids are not being produced right. And that all comes back to because not only the symbiosis between the gut flora, but also that mucoid lining, both of those need to be healthy for then the individual to be producing the amino acids, which again are the building blocks of the eicosanoids. So if all of our body's hormones are not being produced right, what does this lead to? Well, I think most people are aware of the blood sugar imbalances in our body. You can either have diabetes, or at the other far end is hypoglycemia. Another example is when people, their sleep patterns are all messed up, their circadian rhythms are all messed up. This goes back to your body isn't producing the right eicosanoids or healthy eicosanoids, then to create that balance in your body on producing the right hormones tells your body, oh, it's time to go to bed. At the same time each night, it's time to go to bed, and you then, because you have those melatonin levels you need, you quickly go to sleep and you have a good night's sleep. So all these play into so many health issues that we're just not even aware of until now with all this information coming out. I just watched a recent video produced by Zachary Bush. Dr. Zachary Bush in this interview talks about the importance of gut health and specifically to glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in, for instance, Monsanto's Roundup. Monsanto's now been bought out by Bayer, but it's still the same product where the main ingredient is glyphosate. And how in the past, the glyphosate has been around for a while, but they weren't able to spray very much just because it was so toxic. It would actually kill the plants. But through all the genetically modified plants that they've created now, they're able to handle this toxin. But the problem is it kills everything else. And not only does it kill everything else, but the glyphosate is now found everywhere. It's in our water, it's in our food supply, it's in our air. They've even tested it in rainwater. They've tested in the American population 80% of the population tests positive for glyphosate in their urine samples, which is huge. Then again, glyphosate goes into your body. It destroys not only bacteria, but also destroys your mucoid lining. Therefore, your body is not able to produce the amino acids, which are the building blocks for eicosanoids, and then eventually for the balancing of all the hormones within your body. Fortunately, after watching this, it was just like, it was fascinating, but it's also like, oh my, if one feels helpless. So I went to his website, and he does have a product. This is the first time I've been to this website, and I purchased the product, and it's called Gut Support. It comes in a 32-ounce bottle. And what's so great about this product is it scientifically shows that it counteracts the negative impacts of toxins in our diet, specifically to glyphosate. So right now I'm following his directions. I take a teaspoon of the Gut Support, Ion Gut Support, before every meal. And actually, I have felt a difference. I feel more of a calming in my system. These pictures come from a study showing how Ion Gut Support scientifically promotes the strengthening of cell barriers that have been damaged by glyphosate. So by taking a product such as this that supports the healing of that mucoid lining and counteracting the negative effects of glyphosate and other toxins in our food and etc., we can then get back into balance. And like I said, all products that we eat nowadays, unless you're eating organic and there's been no drift from one field to another field. In other words, if a conventional field and organic field are next to each other, if there's been no drift, that's one way you can limit your glyphosate exposure. Another interesting fact I found is on this video, a scientist and a holistic practitioner who works with autistic children, she was working with this scientist, and the scientist investigated what can destroy glyphosate. We do have the example of Dr. Zachary Bush's Ion product that'll help counteract the impact, but also this scientist said that she's proven that chlorine dioxide destroys glyphosate. For instance, in this area where I live, there's a lot of people who have wells, and most groundwater is saturated with glyphosate nowadays just because of all the chemicals that have been sprayed on all the crops. And so if you have well water, all you need to do is put the chlorine dioxide in the well water, and it'll take care and cleanse the water. So it's great that we have solutions to these problems, and then how we can come back into balance. Let's go back to the book. Once the intact lectin protein interacts with your tissues, it virtually has a magnetic effect on the cells in that region. It clumps the cells together, which targets them for destruction, as if they were foreign invaders. In other words, your white blood cells go in, they think they're doing what they're meant to do, but they're basically attacking your own body and wreaking havoc on your system. This clumping can cause irritable bowel syndrome, disrupt the balance of healthy bacteria in the gut, and even block the absorption of other foods. Some authorities on the subject have even speculated that the lectin-rich foods consumed in third world and developing countries might be responsible for much of the anemia seen in these populations. That's the end of that chapter. I think that gives us a good grounding on the science. And then, like I said earlier, in future videos, I will go through each blood type and discuss what's compatible and what's not compatible, plus the specific unique gut flora that each blood type needs to have a healthy biological system. So many other key aspects to what this book brings about. We've showed the connection between eicosanoids and the blood type, and also from the other books like Weak Belly, if you remove those type of products like wheat from our diet, and also that we have a balance between the proteins, carbs, and fats within our diet. And then again, along with the blood type book, it's different based upon your blood type. When you eat proteins, your body takes those proteins and converts them to amino acids. Eating the correct proteins for a person's blood type leads to the production of the correct amino acids for a person's blood type. Type O's, they need meat as the correct protein, whereas type ABs and type A's, they need plant-based proteins in order to produce the correct aminos for their blood types. What we're trying to do is to get the gut-brain in harmony so that we can go into autophagy, which is our natural state. When you have a proper hormonal balance for your blood type, your gut brain starts to work in harmony with your head brain and your gut brain. When your heart is into this, it's like all things. You and your body function better. In the harmony of these three systems, the fight-fawn response of the head brain and the fright-freeze response of the gut brain give way to action that is loving to every aspect of yourself. Allowing then autophagy to set in, where the body is constantly repairing and removing damaged cells. The human growth hormone spikes. The BDNF factor spikes. And all of these hormones come forward to rejuvenate the body and give you the body nature intended you to have. In today's society, with all of its stresses and all the biological poisonings we're constantly being bombarded with, this natural state of autophagy has been taken from us. Autophagy now only occurs when we fast. And this happens because we shut off all the incoming poisons. But when we fast, we also shut off all the correct and good proteins. When the body no longer has to fight because we have the right diet, it will allow it resources to have autophagy be our daily cleanup, leading to perfect health and aging right here. We may not have all the answers right now, but let's go forward and research this together. The physical body is the vehicle we ride in, and when it's no longer breaking down, constantly needing our attention, we will find that we begin to do things again with that joy and that excitement that we had in our 20s. In today's world, we become addicted and dependent on the pharmaceutical industry solutions that are not really solutions because they do not address the cause, only the symptom. When we give the body the right food it needs as a result of taking responsibility for our health, we will find that the body is its own healer. The body does not go after symptoms when it's given proper nutrition. When it is given proper nutrition, it goes after the cause. I believe that true healing will come to humanity. Those who find this and take action, they will be the forerunners to a life without aching joints, without sagging skin or brain fog, no lethargy, and the depression that being run down brings. I'm so grateful today to share these things that have come to me. And like all things, it's a work in progress. By sharing this with you, I get to share the delight of my discovery and get a sense of communion that makes all of us a little bit less alone.